Hello everyone traveling to Paris. I started to put all of this in an email, but just trying to put it into words just seemed very difficult. So I thought I would try to do it by video. In regards to the flight, what basically has happened is I have asked Delta very specific questions throughout this process about what travelers would and would not have access to be able to look at, change, or adjust. And basically everything they have told me has changed from day one and in every conversation. So that is why you have gotten emails that say one thing, and then you may have tried to follow up on what I said you could do, and you've not been able to do that or ran into some sort of problem. So I'm going to try to cover it in this. I feel like it might be a little bit easier to understand like this than trying to put all this detail in the emails. So first of all, actually, let me look at the email I started to write and see if I can kind of start with some of that stuff as a starting point. So, first of all, when we, hang on, I can used to be able to do two things at one time. It does not seem I can do that anymore. So first of all, when we book these flights, we book 2 flights of 50 people, and they give us a PNR or a record locator. That's the 2 things that were first given to you in an email months ago. Once we actually give the names of the people flying to the airline to actually put those names into the specific flights, those record locators or PNRs, whatever you call them, go away, and they have you in smaller groups of 10 to 12, just depending on who knows what. But then you have different, let's see, Delta calls them record locators, and Air France calls them group reference numbers, but they are the alphanumeric code that identifies your flight. So if you've noticed, the flights from New Orleans to Atlanta and Atlanta to Paris are all Delta flights. Returning Paris to Atlanta is an Air France flight, which is why there's an Air France number, and Delta from Atlanta to New Orleans. So if you go on the Delta website and you key in that Delta record locator, it should give you information about the complete flights. Some of you have said your information is there. Some of you are saying it's not there because you're still using the original 2 record locators from months ago and not the ones that I sent out a couple of weeks ago when we were broken down into smaller groups. I'm actually going to resend that email with a link to this video in hopes that this will help explain. So I'm reading my notes that I started earlier. So the old PNRs that were given months ago that there were only 2 of are no longer good for anything. You have to use the new one that, again, I'm going to resend today. I was told that you as passengers would be able to adjust your seats. Now listen carefully, would be able to adjust seating or upgrade your seating on your own once the flights were completely paid for by us, not by you. If you've paid me, I'm not talking about if you've paid me. I'm talking about if we have actually paid the balance. I had someone come in who could not make his changes because he was having trouble. So I helped him. We made his seat adjustments. He paid an additional fee for the slight change that he had with a receipt and a confirmation, and he left. When I called and spoke to Delta about another issue and regarding some people were not able to change their seat request, they told me, because this was a contradicting the first conversation, that because this was a group flight, even seat changes had to come through me. Now, the Delta app allowed this gentleman to make his seat changes, And I told her, if I have to make the seat changes by phone through the group number, why was this gentleman allowed to change his seats? Her answer was, he should not do that, and that it might cause a problem with the group reservation. I said, well, why then was he allowed to make those changes? I was told he should not have been able to. So we're back to the handful. You can confirm the correct spelling of your name and your birth date, as well as add any TSA number, frequent flyer number, global reentry number. If you have any of those, you can add them yourself. But if you have to change, if I missed something with your name or your birth date's incorrect, you have to call me and let me know, and I have to make those changes. If you're one of the small group of people who are making a change to your outgoing flight or your incoming flight, that also has to be done through me. Now, the issue with that is, as any of you know, if you've been on hold with Delta, that can be anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour and a half, depending on the day and time and just good or bad luck. So, in order to do that, you have to know what you do and don't. What are your changes that you want? And that you're going to have to basically set a time to come and sit in the office with me so that I can then call them, wait on hold for however long that has to be, then give you permission to make those changes, hand the phone over to you, and you make arrangements with the airline to make those changes. And then they either issue you a credit or charge you the difference. Also, if you need to make any seat adjustments, you can also do it then. Here's the good part. You're allowed to make some seat adjustments at no charge, and some seat adjustments are not allowed because there's so many different levels of travel. If you want something that's several levels above where you're seated, they actually want to submit a request in order for you to be able to make those changes, which then come back to me and not you. I don't know what to say. It's not me. It's Delta. We were told that you would be able to make these changes once your names were added to the flights. That is, in fact, not what they're telling me now. So, anyone who we haven't already talked to that has a time set aside to come and sit down for this morning, it took all of 15 minutes. We were not even on hold for a minute, which was awesome. So let's hope that happens the same way with everyone. But you'll have to make sure you know what you want your changes to be. And then at least one person of your group needs to come into the office and wait until we get them on the phone, say you can make these changes, and then talk to them about specifically things you want to do. Now, in theory, you could tell me what you want, but then if they have questions, I won't be able to answer them. If they're asking what time you do or don't prefer to leave or come back, that's also questions I can't answer, which would require phone calls. So it's just easier to be in the room. As inconvenient as that is for you, to talk to them and make those changes. So I'm very sorry that information I have sent out to you in the past has not been accurate. Last week I was on the phone 5 times in less than 36 hours, and every time was being told something different that day than I have been told in past conversations. So hopefully this is clear, and if not, I guess give me a call. So we've also in this email, I stress the importance, please read this email in detail, because you can almost disregard any previous emails that I've sent, because I'm updating past information or leaving past information if it hasn't been updated in a single email. So you can pretty much disregard any old emails, because any updates will be in the most recent one. Also, if this isn't clear, then I guess you'll have to call me. But we have 115 travelers, and a lot of people are emailing me with questions that have been in past emails. So Yes. I think that's about it, and I hope this was clearer than what I was trying to write. Okay, so call me up, the people who need to make those changes, and see when we can set aside to come in and make those calls to Delta when you have decided exactly what you do and don't need on these flights that differ from the group. All right, thank you guys. Bye.